Get the skills, be the boss. No more time to feel lost. Lead the way every day. Find success, it's here to stay. Rise and shine, it's your time. Skill up, raise the climb. Navigate, innovate. It's your fate, don't be late. Get the skills, be the boss. No more time to feel lost. Lead the way every day. Find success, it's here to stay.
If you're a new manager or hoping to be a new manager, join us in our exploration into what managers need to know. This program will set you up for success by building your knowledge and confidence in the skills you need to be effective. Hello, and welcome to What Managers Need to Know. If you are here, please enter your name and where you are calling in from, and I welcome you. Today, we're going to be looking at the third of 5 series on motivation. The whole idea of this series is to provide managers, particularly new managers, with the information about management tools, concepts, techniques that can help you be more effective. And we have looked at delegation, coaching for poor performance, and now we're looking at motivational skills. A little bit about me. I taught for the Executive Management Institute and the Small Business Development Center at the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Business for 30 years. And I've been a workplace learning and performance improvement consultant with my own business for 38 years, and I provide management training. So we're going to be we looked at your needs, because if your needs aren't met, it's very hard for you to create a motivational environment for your employees. We then looked at primary motivators, the 7 motivators that motivate 99% of your employees. And these were achievement, power, affiliation, autonomy, esteem, safety and security, and equity. And all of those have to do with intrinsic feelings, that people feel that they have power, that people feel that they are safe and secure, that people feel that they have sufficient autonomy to make decisions to perform their jobs correctly. Now we're going to be looking at what you as a manager can do to create those feelings within your employees. So motivation is the intention to perform, and it's one of the most important factors in successful work accomplishment. And there are 7 factors that have a high potential for increasing employee motivation. And we're going to look at the first 3 or 4 today: extrinsic, intrinsic motivation, success, confidence, knowledge of results, interest, concern, and feeling. We'll look at the first 3 of those, or 4 of those, today. So first, we have extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. So when employees work to gain something else, they are operating from an extrinsic motivation. So they may first come to a job because they want a paycheck, which is an extrinsic reason. However, if you do something so that the employee feels valued, has sufficient challenge and autonomy, and is successful in the job, the employee may start to come to work because the employee feels good about the job itself, an intrinsic reason. Employees have intrinsic motivation when they receive satisfaction from the work itself. And last week, when we were talking about achievement, those of us who are motivated by a sense of achievement would have an intrinsic motivation. So converting extrinsic employee motivation to intrinsic motivation is the key to directing a self-directed workforce. Because extrinsic, we're talking about a carrot or a stick. Intrinsic, we're talking about what the employee feels is important and feels that that is satisfied in the work that they're doing. So what else can you do? Hello, Miss Tabitha, thank you for coming. What else can you do to help your employees move from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation? Because that's where we want them to be. So think about, how do you help them feel valued? How do you help them feel that they have sufficient autonomy? You know, one of the things that we talked about was delegating sufficient decision-making autonomy so that the employee can perform their job. What else can you do to help your employees move from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation? Well, if the answer doesn't come to you immediately, oh, Tabitha says, say thank you and provide them ways for them to meet their personal employment goals. Yes, absolutely. We talked last week about high performers who still need to be recognized. They may perform because they are motivated by achievement, but it's also nice to be recognized and to have someone thank you for the work that you've done. The first way to move from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation is to set employees up for success. We prefer doing things we can perform successfully rather than the things that we are unsuccessful at. That's one of the reasons why we procrastinate. We often procrastinate because we've never done it before, or we've done it before and it didn't work out well. So 85% of an employee's ability to perform successfully on the job depends upon the agency's structure, its policies and procedures, its culture, as well as its management style. So if we want a manager to set employees up to be successful, you can give complete instructions. Don't withhold information. Provide sufficient resources. Provide necessary training. Provide constructive knowledge of results or feedback. What else can you do to set your employees up for success if you are a manager? It's hard to be successful in a vacuum. When you are given instructions, you need to understand why they're important, what the context is. What else does an employee need to be set up for success? What can the manager do? Complete instructions, sufficient resources, team building exercises and projects where they are the lead. Team building exercises can certainly help them feel that they belong, can certainly help them open up paths of communication so that information is passed from one team member to the other. And projects where they are lead gives them an opportunity to exert their skills and experience. So thank you, Tabitha. So if we want to move people from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation, we set them up for success. And how do they know they've been successful? Well, when they receive knowledge of results. This knowledge of results may be oral or written and come from their manager, peers, customers, or themselves. Because employees can also determine their success if they have specific, observable, and measurable performance standards so they can evaluate their own performance. Employees need specific knowledge of results about what they're doing well so they can continue to repeat that effective performance. So managers should provide specific constructive knowledge of results that will help employees clearly understand what they need to do to improve their performance when necessary. So we call it knowledge of results instead of feedback because feedback can be very general. And here we want something very specific. When employees know they've been successful based on the knowledge of results that they receive, that boosts their self-confidence. So we want to move them from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation. We set them up for success. They know they're successful because they've received knowledge of results, either from what they can measure for themselves or what they have been told by customers, managers, clients. What else can you do to ensure your employees receive useful knowledge of results? And keep in mind that this needs to be timely. You can't wait for a year to give an employee knowledge of results. It's too late. They need to know what they're doing well when they're doing well, and they need to know what they need to fix when they need to fix it. So a feedback loop or surveys of performance certainly would help give knowledge of results. Thank you, Tabitha. So we want to move from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation. We set employees up for success. They know they've been successful because of the knowledge of results, and that builds their confidence. And they're much more likely to be confident about achieving success when they believe that success is within their control. So what does a manager do to set an employee up for success? Clarifying what performance level is expected, ensuring sufficient training and resources to achieve that performance, and providing ongoing specific and constructive knowledge of results about their performance. Successful job performance that's validated by knowledge of results will result in increased employee confidence in their ability to perform. I had an employee who had had a terrible work experience. She had been hired in project positions, and in each position, she had excelled. But then the project ended and she was back to square one. And that happened so frequently that her self-confidence was in the basement. She didn't feel recognized. She didn't feel valued. She didn't feel successful because everything had ended and she had never been thanked for what she did or recognized for what she was able to accomplish. And so at the beginning, we had to meet every day to talk about what she needed to do and what was expected and what she needed so she could achieve that. And we did that for several weeks until she slowly started to feel confident in her own abilities. Employee confidence can reinforce their potential interest in assuming additional and possibly greater responsibilities. Hello, Leslie. Thank you for joining us. So what can you do to help your employees gain confidence in their abilities? As trainers, we often talk about breaking things up into tiny, manageable chunks, slowly letting people build confidence in their ability to perform it as we add more and more activities to their workload. What else can you do to help your employees gain confidence in their abilities? Tabitha says, assign them tasks that will help improve their confidence. Yes, give them small things that build their confidence. And then once they're more confident, you can delegate more responsibility. You can set higher standards. Thank you. So it's time for discussion and questions. We have in the past, in the first of the series, looked at what motivates you. We looked at what motivates your employees, which could also motivate you in the second of the series. And today is part one of looking at what managers can do specifically to create a motivational environment where employees feel motivated. We cannot motivate someone unless you consider extrinsic motivation, and I suppose that is, but that's a carrot or a stick, and the motivation and the movement stops the minute the carrot or the stick is withdrawn. We want employees to be self-motivated, self-directed. So we looked at setting them up for success by giving them clear instruction. So setting them up, giving them knowledge of results, and they know they've been successful, which builds their confidence. So Tabitha asks, what happens when you try all things and they still do not change? Tabitha is known for asking questions that stump me immediately, and she has done a very good job with this one. There are some folks who are not going to be responsive, and I think that that's something that we need to understand. And sometimes what we need to do is just sit down with them and say, what is it that you need? What do you need from me so that this will be a comfortable, if not enjoyable, work life for you? And it may be something that we have not considered. You know, the whole idea of remote working. So many people do so much better because they don't have to worry about travel expenses. They don't have to worry about parking. They don't have to worry about who's going to be there for their children or their elderly parents. No, you don't need to be sorry, Tabitha. It's a good question. We're going to look at what we can do that will help in most cases. If someone has already retired on the job, then there's still something that they need from the job to feel comfortable about coming to work every day. Maybe that's safety and security. See, you're not stumped. Thinking on your feet works. You answer in a way that helps us to understand simple ways to help others. Thank you, Tabitha. I continually appreciate all of your support with this. So, as a manager, know that you have within your power the means to create a motivational environment for your employees. You do not want them trembling in fear, worrying about what stick is going to come down. If you have developed performance standards with them in mind, with them involved, so they know what it means, what's expected of them, so that they will be successful. They can monitor themselves. That's a really important tip to keep in mind, particularly when we look at managing performance. But what we have looked at today is moving employees from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation. We do that by setting them up for success, by giving them timely, constructive knowledge of results that builds their confidence in their ability to perform successfully. So, what is your key takeaway? I'm hoping that one thing that you take away is that it's important that you create a motivational environment, and that you can do that in a variety of ways that often very frequently build on each other, just as setting them up for success. They know they're successful because of knowledge of results, and that builds their confidence in their ability to perform. Tabitha says, I need to ask questions about what they want so I understand the motivation of the employee. I need to ask questions about what they want so I understand the motivation of the employee. And I think that many employees are able to tell you what they need. And just the fact that they are asked is helpful. And Leslie says, active listening is imperative. Yes. We not only ask the question, which shows we care, we listen to the answer, which shows that we really care. Thank you both. If you would like help creating a motivational environment, let's talk. I have my calendar link right there. http:/44YLO5L. I would love to have a conversation. Next week, we're going to look at part 2 of motivational tools. So we've looked at moving from extrinsic to intrinsic, setting them up for success, giving them knowledge of results so they know they're successful, and building their confidence. We will look on next week, we will look at interest, how we gain their interest, how we lower their concern, and how we create a positive feeling environment. So thank you for sharing your time with me today. And I hope that you will join us tomorrow. Let's see, I didn't hit the right thing. Thank you so much for coming and participating in our discussion of what managers need to know. You can find the videos of this and previous sessions on my YouTube channel or under events on my LinkedIn profile. I'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Get the skills, be the boss, no more time to feel lost. Lead the way, every day, find success, it's here to stay. Get the skills, be the boss, no more time to feel lost. Lead the way, every day, find success, it's here to stay. It's here to stay. Oh, it's here to stay. It's here to stay. Yeah. Get the skills. be the boss. No more time to feel lost.